The seventh Adhyaya is the union with the divine knowledge and its realization, the Gnana Vijnana Yoga. This Adhyaya deals with devotion, bhakti, to have the highest love and reverence for the Almighty. Faith is the essence of devotion, and the path of devotion, bhakti yoga, is an important means, sadhana, for attaining the knowledge. The first verse of the seventh Adhyaya starts with words of Krishna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamanah Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayah. Krishna says, O Arjun, attach to me with your mind and continue to perform yoga sadhana with an attitude of surrender to me. And listen to this, there is no doubt that you will know me completely. Bhagavan says, Mam Samagram Gnasyasi. You will know me completely in all respects. Krishna, who talks about detachment as a central goal in Bhagavad Gita, is telling Arjuna to attach to him with his mind. Mai asakta manaha. When Krishna says, you will know me in all respects, it means we will know him in all different forms of the one divine, including Ishvara in a form, Saguna Sakar Swarupa, Ishvara as the material and the instrumental cause for the universe, the Bhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana Ishvara, and the formless divinity, the Nirguna Nirakar Brahma Chaitanya. Krishna praises the knowledge of the Brahman in the next verse, the highest knowledge. He says, I shall tell you the knowledge of the divine, Gnanam Savignanam. He says, Gnana means the Paroksha Jnana, and Savignana means the assimilated knowledge of the self, that is the Aparoksha Jnana. In totality, he says, Yajgnatva, by knowing which there is nothing more to be known in this world. Krishna pledges to tell Arjuna the divine knowledge and its realization, Gnana and Vijnana. Krishna reveals the highest knowledge which is described in the Upanishad, the epitome of the knowledge of the Vedanta, that there is only one divinity in this existence, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything and every being is just divine and one with the divine. It is important to convert the divine knowledge, Gnana, into realization, Vijnana, as only the assimilated knowledge bears its fruits. This assimilation is possible by spiritual practices, the Adhyatmic sadhana, which is uncommon as it requires a lot of dedication and discipline. Therefore, Krishna says, Manushyanam Sahastreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddhaye. Out of thousands of human beings, only a few makes efforts to reach their goal. Yatatam api siddhanam Kaschit mam vetti tatvataha. And out of those who make efforts, only a rare few know me in reality. Krishna shows the rarity of the self-knowledge, Atmagnana, because the journey for creating the eligibility for awakening and then actually persisting with the passion, patience and persistence on the right path is not conducive for most humans. Scriptures tell us that the purpose of human life is to know the true nature of ourself, Atmagnana. This should become our priority so that we make the best use of time in life to move towards this goal. Therefore, human life is considered invaluable and rare. Even the spiritual journey to change our attitudes and beliefs is not easy. It's a durlabh yatra. To understand the divine, Krishna starts the description of the Prakriti or the nature or the creation, which is the manifestation of the divine. He says, this is my eightfold Prakriti, itiyam bhinna me ashtadha Prakriti. Or nature, he says, which one? Bhumi, Apa, Anala, Vayu, Kham. The five great elements, the earth, water, fire, air and space. And then he says, Manah, Buddhi, Eva, Cha, Ahankara. Mind, intellect and the ego, which are part of the Sukshma Pancha Mahabhuta. And this eight, the five great elements and the three other, Buddhi, Mana and Ahankara, they all form the eightfold Prakriti of the Ishvara. He says, this is my divine nature. And then he says this eightfold Prakriti is the Apara or the lower nature, and there is another Prakriti which is the higher, the Para Prakriti, which one is the Jiva Bhutam Mahabaho, which is in the form of the Jiva or the consciousness, the Chetana, Yaya Idam Jagat Dharyate, which is the foundation, the Adhishtana, which upholds this universe and this creation. To know the unknown is difficult for all of us. Thus, to know the unknown, first we should start from properly knowing the known. So to understand the divinity which is unknown to us, we need to start understanding the creation which is known to us. The scriptures use this process, apart from many other processes, to understand the divine. We can start seeing divinity in all that we can see in the creation, the karya, and then think of the cause, the karana, and finally we will be able to reach to the divine by the process called laya prakriya. An ignorant person, jiva, does not know this reality, while the wise man knows this reality and therefore is one with the divine. In the next verse, Krishna says the material cause of the creation is Ishvara. He says, Iti upadharaya, decide firmly that etadyonini sarvani bhutani, all the beings are born from my womb, this prakriti, the nature. Aham kritsnasya jagataha prabhava pralayastatha. He says, I am the cause for the origin and the dissolution of the entire universe. After describing the prakriti, Krishna says the creation is the same as the creator. All the philosophies in the world believe that God is the creator of this creation. He is the instrumental cause, the nimitta karana of the creation, just as a potter who creates a pot. However, it is only the Sanatana Vedic Dharma which says that God is not just the instrumental cause of the creation, but also the material cause, the upadana karana of the creation. That means Ishvara is not just the creator, but also is part of the creation, just as the clay is the material cause of the pot. As both these roles are played by one Ishvara, he is called the Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana, and that is how Ishvara is defined in scriptures. Krishna says, I am woven in this universe everywhere at all times. He says, Matta Parataram Nanyat Kinchidapi Asti. There is nothing more to be known than me. Idam Sarvam Mai Protam. This entire creation, the seen world, the subtle world, everything is woven in me. Sutre Manigana Iva. Just like all the beads of different shape, size are beaded on a string. Similarly, the universe is a beautiful creation. Our vision normally is in this world, is always on the names and forms. But we do not see the one thread that binds all the beads. Krishna says, just as all the colorful beads are bound on a string, all the names and forms of this universe are upheld by the thread of the divinity. Sutre Manigana Iva, he says. Krishna calls behind all the names and forms. He says, hey, see me, I'm everywhere. It is we who need to change the vision, to see one thread on which all the beads are beaded. That is why detachment from the material world, vairagya, is so important to understand divinity. In the next 4 shloka, Ishvara shows his few manifestations, vibhuti darshana, which can help us to start divinity, seeing divinity somewhere. He shows how I am everywhere by showing us that he is at least at some places. He says, in water I am the taste, in sun and the moon I am the glow, in all the Vedas I am Omkara, in space I am the words, in all humans I am the power of efforts, I am the pious smell of the earth, and I am the light of the fire. Jivanam sarva bhuteshu, I am the life force of all the beings, and I am the penance of the ascetic. The divinity is everywhere. We need to start seeing Ishvara somewhere. And that is the purpose of showing his manifestations, vibhuti, to describe God's own splendor, so that we can feel God everywhere. Sarvatra Bhagavad Bhava. Then Bhagavan says, Buddhi Sanatanam, know me always that the Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam, I am the source of all the beings. Buddhi Buddhir Matamasmi, I am the intellect of all the intelligent. Tejas Tejasvinamaham, I am the glory behind all the brilliant people. Humans should not have any pride of their own qualities, and we should also not boast of our success. God reminds us all the time that all these attributes or power comes from only one source, and we happen to be the manifestation of that life force. All our energies come from the divine. Even in the Prakriti made up of the 5 elements, he is the foundation of all. No one can survive without water for a few days or even without air for more than a few moments. All these have been given to us for our survival. Thus, since the Vedic times, all the nature and its elements were considered divine and worshipped. Then he says, Balam Balavatamaham, I am the strength of the strong who are devoid of desires and attachments, and I am the desire of people who are on the righteous path. All the worldly objects, Bhagavan says, comprise of the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and a tamas. Matta eva iti tan vidhi, know that they all arise from me. Nattu teham teshu te mai, I am not in them. Krishna shows the oneness of the cause and the effect, the karya and the karana. He says the entire Prakriti which comprises of the three gunas, the Trigunatmika Jagata, the Sattva, Rajas and the Tamas. They arise from the divine. All the people are part of Prakriti and comprise of the three gunas, and therefore show all the differences in their behavior, habits and actions. All the attributes, the gunas, like the self-restraint, shama, dama, peace, desires, the greed, sleepiness, laziness, etc., all these arise from these three gunas. Materially, each one of us is different, while our foundation of all is the same. Krishna says that the entire universal creation arises from him and is dependent on him, while he is not dependent on the creation. Ishvara is the independent principle, is the only energy, Swasatta, that energizes the creation and is the eternal reality, Satya. On the other hand, the creation, the Jagata, is dependent, it is Paradhina for all its energies, it is Paratantra on the insentient, Parasatta, and therefore is not the truth, or is only transient and illusionary, as it is called as Mithya. The question is, if Ishvara is omnipresent everywhere, why can't people see or know the divine? Krishna answers in the next verse and shows his original, unmanifest, eternal, transcendental nature. He says, in this world of three gunas, all the beings are deluded by these three gunas. Na abhijanati, therefore they don't know me. Mam ebhya paramam avyayam, my real nature, my real swarupa, which is param, and avyaya, which is eternal, indestructible. The material world comprises of the three gunas. Krishna says, due to the attachment to these three gunas, all the beings are deluded and they can't see the reality. They don't know me. He says, mohitam na vijanati, due to the delusion, the moha, which is created by the attachments to the material world of the three gunas. And the delusion mode does not allow us to have a true vision. The original truth of the divine is it is eternal and changeless. Bhagavan says, Mam Param Avyayam, which is above the three gunas. Unless we attempt to rise above this material world, to transcend the three gunas, we shall not be able to perceive the divine. Most of the people are so attached to see the names and forms that they miss the glimpse of the divinity hiding behind this dance of the matter. That is why we are unable to see the divine, who is omnipresent and everywhere, Sarvatra Ishvara. In our life also, we fail to appreciate the foundation of what is unchanging behind all that keeps changing. Our concentration is only on the one that keeps changing. For example, while reading a book, we see the letters and not the white page on which the letters are written. And while seeing a movie, we see the moving objects but fail to appreciate the screen on which all this keeps happening and changing. Krishna in the next verse shows the problem precisely and also gives a solution to overcome the problem. He says the Jeev does not know me due to Maya, and shows how we can overcome Maya to see the divine. He says, Daivi hi esha gunamai, this Maya which is my own, consisting of the three gunas, Mama Maya Duratyaya. He says it is very difficult to understand and overcome. But he also shows the solution. He says, Mama eva ye prapadyante. One who comes to my shelter, Maya te etam tarantite. He gets across this Maya. So Maya is the creative energy of the divine, Brahma, which is the principle that enables the attributeless Brahman, the supreme divinity, to create this universe, Jagata, consisting of the three gunas or attributes, Trigunatmika Jagata. This creative energy or power is God's own and is at the service of the Brahman. That's why it's called Brahmashraya Maya, at the discretion of Ishvara. The creation arises with the union of the Brahman and the Maya. This Maya, Esha Maya, though cannot be seen, can be experienced by us. Because this Maya consists of three gunas, Gunamayi Maya, the universe from which it arises also consists of the same three gunas, Trigunatmika Jagata. Krishna says to overcome Maya is difficult but not impossible. It requires tremendous efforts and hard work to end Maya. He says the only solution to end Maya is to know the reality of our own self or self-knowledge, the Atma-jnana. For this we need to do our best and surrender to the divine, to have his grace. Mama eva ye prapadyante, Maya tam etam tarantite. He says then only they can get across this ocean of Maya, the Sansara Sagara. In life also there are a few examples how we can understand this phenomenon. A fisherman goes fishing and spreads his net in the water for fishing. Only those fishes which are at the feet of the fisherman can be saved from the net and survive. All the others are at the risk of getting caught in the net. Similarly in life, one who accepts the surrender of the divine, are able to be saved from the nuances of this world. But most people get entangled in the different forms of the world, and this is a function of Maya to create this delusion. It is this Maya which manifests as all forms in the universe, which is not the truth. That's why it is called Asat. The universal truth, the Brahman, the foundation and the master of the Maya, is unseen, and that's why it's called Sat. It is only with this spiritual journey sadhana of the path of good deeds, the Karma Yoga, the path of devotion, the Bhakti Yoga, with faith and reverence in the God, which will bring the grace of the Ishvara Krupa to have this understanding and knowledge of the divine, the Gnana. And only those who take the shelter of the Ishvara is able to get free from the power of the Maya. Another example is of a magician who casts his spell on the audience, the Maya Jal. The magician is the only person who knows the secret of his magic. If we also want to know the secret of his magic, we have to go and surrender to him and requestfully ask him to disclose his magical tricks. Ishvara is the biggest magician who has cast a spell in which all are deluded and are unable to see the reality. If we want to understand it and get over it, we need to go to his shelter, attach to him and devote to him. Thus, the devotional path to the divine is considered to be a very powerful means to progress on the spiritual path. What happens to those who do not take his shelter? Bhagavan says, Namam prapadyante, those who don't take my shelter, people like Dushkrutinaha, those who are involved in unrighteous activities, Mudha, those who are deluded with emotions, Naradhamaha, those who live an animal life, Mayaya Apahyat Gnana, those whose knowledge and intellect is hidden by delusions, Asuram Bhavamashritaha, and those who take shelter of the negative emotions, those people are unable to know him in this universe. Taking the shelter of the divine essentially means that doing our best efforts in life by seeing his grace in every moment and every situation of life, surrendering our pride. While doing all our work, we can remember and connect to Ishvara by chanting his name. When we get the results of our actions, we are able to accept this with his grace and complete acceptance. Just mechanically praying to the divine or physically prostrating to the divine is not surrender to the divine. Krishna is showing how a materialistic person lives in this world and does not surrender to the divine. They have incessant desires for material possessions and also utilize all unrighteous means to amass their wealth, power, pride, and possessions. They are emotional and do not use their intellect appropriately for making wise decisions in their life. They have many vices such as anger, attachments, and others with which they deteriorate in their life in terms of spiritual progress, not in terms of material progress. They have a deluded vision and give utmost importance to worldly affairs and are unable to see the work of the divine. Krishna is showing these obstacles and saying these words of caution so that we constantly try and make efforts to overcome these obstacles. What are the different types of people who worship the Ishvara? Bhagavan says, Chaturvidha bhajante mam. There are 4 types of people or devotees who pray to me. Jana sukritano Arjuna. O Arjuna, those who are on the righteous path, those who are on the virtuous path. The first he says, Artha, those who are in pains or miseries. Artharthi, those who have desires of material wealth to be fulfilled. Jignasu, those who desire to know the truth, the knowledge. And Gnani, the wise, the selfless, and devotee. Devotion is performed by only those people who are on the path of dharma, the righteous path. They understand that the seen world cannot be the only truth, and therefore they know that there is a creator behind this beautiful creation. With this faith, they devote to the divine by their own understanding. Each being is different, and according to their own understanding will devote to the divine. Most devotees remember Ishvara when they are in pain or difficulties. They pray to God to help them and to get them over the difficult part of their lives. There may be some monetary loss, some disease or pains, relationship issues or exams. The students will pray to Almighty for better results or outcomes. These kind of devotees are called Artha Bhakta, who worship only during their difficulties. The second type of devotees are the ones who remember the God when they have some desires to be fulfilled. It could be meeting their near dear ones or their desires for material possessions or completing their responsibilities as children or parents. These devotees are called Artharthi, those who devote to fulfill material desires. The third kind of devotee is the one who desire is to know the truth. It is not just a material desire, but the desire to know the divine, the reality of the existence. he or she wants to have the divine knowledge and desires to become free from the chains of worldly bondage. Such a devotee is called Jignasu. And the final type of the devotee is the one who already has the divine knowledge, is a Gnani, has obtained this through the spiritual journey and now devotes to the God with this understanding. He or she has no such desires of material possessions and worships the God out of love and respect for the God. Arjuna must have thought, who is the best of all these four devotees? Krishna says, the wise person who devotes to me, the Gnani Bhakta, is the best of all these four devotees. Tesham Gnani Nitya Yuktaha. Out of all these four, the wise or the Gnani is special because he is constantly connected to me. Eka Bhaktir Vishishyate. His devotion is with a lot of commitment to the one divine. And Bhagavan says that the wise devotee loves me so much, and that devotee is also very dear to me. Bhagavan also loves the wise devotee, the Gnani Bhakta, very much. Krishna says the person who has divine knowledge and then devotes to me is the best of all because they're connected to divine constantly and not just during the needs. Their worship is with commitment, discipline and constant dedication. They have immense love for Ishvara and they worship the divine out of this love. Going a step ahead, Krishna says the wise man and me are not different, we are one. Arjuna must have thought, am I not dear to you? Bhagavan Krishna says, no. All these four, Sudara Sarva Evaite, all these four types of devotees are very great. But Gnani Atmeva Me Matam, but wise is my own self, he is one with me. And because he is Yuktatma, he is who has a control over his sense, mind and intellect, and Mam Eva Anuttamam Gati Mastitaha, and the wise is firmly established in my supreme self, he is one with the divine. So Krishna says all devotees are good, they are all the same. Bhagavan does not discriminate between his devotees. However, out of all the four of them, he says one who is selfless and worships me with a still mind, with the right understanding, this wise person is dearest to Krishna. God loves selflessness, and the selfless love is the highest love, as there is no expectation for any return. How can I become wise and a devotee who can be loved by none other than Ishvara? Bhagavan says the enlightened wise are rare indeed. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. He says after end of many births of spiritual journey, Gnanavan Mam Prapadyate. The aspirant or the seeker becomes wise and attains me. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. By knowing everything is Krishna, everything is divine, everything is Ishwar, everything is God. Samahatma Sudurlabha. Such is a very rare and a great human being. The spiritual practice is sadhana, takes many births to reach perfection. The final goal is to have the true knowledge of the self, the Atmagnana, the divinity, Brahmagnana, and to know that there is just one divinity, Aikya Gnana. That knowledge is the knowing that there is only one divinity, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, which manifests as many different manifestations in the universe. The final knowledge is that everything is God, everything is divine. Vedanta says that by negating all that is not the truth, neti, and by accepting what is unchanging, Vyatirek Anvaya, Vyapti it is called in scriptures, one can reach to the divinity or Brahma. The highest principle of Vedanta is everything is divine, Sarvam Kalavidam Brahma. That everything is God, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, is the ultimate goal of human life. And this knowledge is the climax of devotion. This knowledge can be fructified after many births, Bahunam Janmanamante. And this is a long journey, birth after birth, as progress happens slowly. It is difficult to change our strong conditioning, but the good news is that such practice is only possible in the human birth, where we can utilize all our good virtues, our sadguna, for our upliftment, uddhara. The circumstance that creates pain and difficulties are actually wake-up calls for us. The journey comes to an end when I know my true self by the assimilated knowledge, the aparoksha jnana, without any doubts, sanshaya, or opposite impressions, viparyaya. Such a great man who has this wisdom are indeed rare. Saha Mahatma Sudurlabha, Bhagavan says. For the one to reach this goal, to become one with the all-pervading divinity, is rare. And Guru Ma says that one who keeps trying, it is not impossible, it is sulabha to reach the goal. Isn't it a great paradox that though everything is divine, still I can't see divinity anywhere, except maybe in the place of worship? Krishna gives the reasons. And he says, Kamaistestairata gnana. By incessant desires, the self-knowledge is hidden. Prabhadyante anya devataha. They pray to many other deities according to their own nature and follow many rituals and rules. It is our attachments to the material world and our inner incompleteness that we have our incessant desires, vishaya kamna, for self-fulfillment. These desires come up due to our incorrect sense of self and the inner dissatisfaction for ourself. If we analyze the root cause, it is the unawareness or ignorance of our own self. For fulfilling these desires, people pray to different deities according to their faith and also follow many rituals given in the scriptures. The cycle of desires lead to actions for fulfillment and enjoyment of the fruits, and which creates impressions, which creates more desires. And this cycle keeps going on and on. To transcend these desires, we need to think wisely, viveka, and give adequate thought, vichara, to each of our desires, whether they are genuine, whether they are need-based, and whether they are worth fulfilling. We need to decide our priorities which are important in life. We need to fulfill those desires which are important to fulfill our goals. And this solution is like a symptomatic treatment rather than treating the root cause, which is ignorance. Krishna says these desires which arise out of ignorance of ourself hides our true self, our kama isteste rutagnana, he says. How does God help us in fulfilling our desires? Bhagavan says those who worship those deities with the form, with faith for fulfilling the desires, he says, I strengthen their faith by giving them the desired results. With faith, these people worship different deities, and those deities fulfill their desires, and I am the person who gives them the due fruits of their actions. Ishwara is the giver of the fruits of all our actions, is karma phala data. And we commonly pray to deities for fulfilling our desires. When we get the desired results, we consider the grace of the deity. This strengthens our faith in the deities, and we continue worshipping them with renewed vigor. In essence, it is the grace of Ishwara that this system of different deities has been created to maintain the harmony in the universe. God is also the observer, the karmadhyaksha of all our actions in thoughts, words, and physical activity. All that we get as results is due to the grace of the divine, as truly Bhagavan himself says, I am the bestower of all the fruits of actions, karma phala data. While we worship different forms of God as idol, it is in essence the worship of the divine, as we see the Ishvara in the idol. It is not just idol worship, but it is a worship of the divinity in the idol. Krishna shows the difference of worship to deities and Ishvara. He says those with less intellect get limited fruits. Those who worship the Devtas, they attain those Devtas, whereas those who worship me, they attain me. And the fruits of attaining the divine are immense. Attaining the supreme self of the divine means unlimited happiness, peace, and freedom from all our false identifications and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. God has many, many forms, and therefore worshipping God in any form is okay. We reap what we sow. Most people are not aware of the real essence of the divinity, and we generally believe that God exists in just forms or incarnations and lives in the places of worship only. Therefore, Krishna mentions the essence of the divine, his true self, and how do people with a limited intellect understand the divine. So who is God and what is the true divinity? Bhagavan Krishna says in the next verse, he says, Abuddhayaha, those with very limited intellect, Mam avyaktam, though I am unmanifest by nature, Vyaktim apannam manyate, they believe that I have a human form. Param bhavama ajananto, they don't know my real essence. Mama anuvyayam uttamam, he says, I am changeless and I have the highest form. Krishna says how ordinary people understand Ishwar. Most people believe that God is having a form, lives in a place of worship or in heaven, and that is how they transact with the divine. That is how they worship the divine, by visiting places of pilgrimage and also having an idol worship at home. God with a form is one of the manifestations of the divine, is not the true nature of the divine. This understanding is only of the people who do not think beyond the ordinary beliefs. A few others will believe that God is the creator of the universe and that he is the creative energy of the nature. They believe that God is unmanifest in nature, avyakta, or will incarnate to have a form as his manifestation. These are the people who understood the divine in a better way and are thus able to see divinity beyond the confines of the places of worship and also connect to the divine in their daily life. But there are very few rare individuals, after undergoing the spiritual discipline according to the scriptural injunctions, would understand the true nature of the divine as unmanifest, avyakta, and formless, nirakara, without any attributes or characteristics, nirguna, who cannot be known by senses, mind, and the intellect. This formless, all-pervading divinity is changeless, Adhyaya, as the foundation, Adhisthana, of everything that keeps changing in this world. The divine is unborn, Ajara, and immortal, Amara. This highest form, Anuttama, can be perceived as a Sat, Chit and Ananda Swarupa. Sat is a truth which remains always the same in the trinity of the past, present and the future, Trikala Badhita, Sat. Sat also means it is the only life force, the Satta in existence, which illuminates its own self, Swasatta, as well as everything else, Parasatta. Chit is the all-knower consciousness, that is the nature of the divinity, whereas Ananda is the bliss form of our own self and the divine that we can perceive when we go deep within us. This divinity manifests as a true nature, Atma Swarupa of all beings, Jiva, and is one with them. This divinity also pervades as unmanifest Avyakta in all the worldly objects, Jagata, and is the reality of the divine Ishvara. Why and how are you hidden? Can someone know you truly? Bhagavan says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya, I do not manifest to all, Yoga Maya Samavrutaha, as I am hidden by the creative energy of the Yoga Maya. Mudhoyam na bijanati, says, those deluded do not know me. Mam ajam avyayam, I am eternal, unborn and indestructible. Krishna describes his true essence of his own identity, his divinity. He says he's unborn, he's changeless, he's the foundation of this universe. And this changeless divinity is the essence of the existence. And this is the true divine knowledge of the unity, Aikya Gnana. The essence of the Tattva behind all these three is one. The unmanifest God manifests as all these three. This knowledge of Aikya Gnana is the true knowledge of Vedanta and the Upanishad. Why is it that we don't understand or know this reality or the truth of the existence? Guru Maharaj teaches us that it is due to the firm impressions of the bodily identification, our Deha Sakti. We do not understand the reality of our own self, the Jiva. Due to firm impressions of the differences in the divinity, the Bheda Buddhi, we are not able to perceive the reality of the divine, Ishvara. And due to firm impressions of the attachments with the worldly objects, Vishaya Sakti, we are not able to see the divinity in the universe, Jagata. Krishna says, I am the all-knower, the Sarvagnya, as Ishvara. He says, O Arjuna, I am the knower of the past, present and the future of all the beings. Mam tu Vedana Kashchana, but no one knows me, though I know everything. When Krishna says, I know everything, Aham Sarvam Veda, helps us to understand that Ishvara is the only all-knower, Sarvagnya, while Jiva knows very little, Alpagnya. Still, we keep asking a lot of questions at each of the life situations. Why this happened to me, and why I have to go and I have to suffer. We do not understand the law of karma, and therefore such questions are out of place. We need to accept what comes to us and do our best to wriggle out of the situation. Devotion to Ishvara Bhakti is love for God. The various stages of devotion are firstly to see God in a form as an idol, then to see God as an instrumental cause and the material cause of the universe, and later to switch our perception of the divinity from the form God Sakara Swarupa to the formless God, the Nirakara Chaitanya, and finally to realize that I am not separate from the divine, I am Atma Chaitanya, which is the knowledge of oneness, the Aikya Gnana. So devotion, bhakti with love, surrender, Sharanagati is the true knowledge, and that is the true Gnana. Why people don't know me? What are the obstacles? Bhagavan Krishna says, Ichcha Dvesha Samuttena, the desires and the Raga Dvesha, Dvandva Mohena, which are creates the delusion due to the duality. Sarva Bhutani Sammahon Sargayanti, all the beings are thoroughly deluded since their birth. Krishna repeatedly emphasizes that our strong likes and dislikes, our Raga Dvesha, are the main cause of all the maladies that we face in this world. The root cause of this is the ignorance of our real self. The main obstacle to our progress in life are these likes and dislikes which create the delusion, moha, in the world. This world is full of all the dualities, dvandva, such as the likes and dislikes, the raga and the dvesha. They are powerful and they create our automated responses. The outer dualities like the day, night, the heat and cold are transient, and our labels like good, bad, success, failure, profit, loss, praise, criticism creates the pleasure and pain, the sukha, dukkha, and this cycle goes on and on. All our actions and behaviors are colored with these strong likes and dislikes, the raga, dvesha. This leads to our insistence, compulsive and obsessive behavior and tendency to control others. There are very few rare people who with their awareness are able to rise above the strong likes and dislikes and the automated responses. They are able to wisely choose their responses and become eligible to progress on the path to attain the divine. Who is eligible to attain me? Bhagavan says, Yesham tu antagatam papam, those whose sins have ended, and jananam punya karmanam, those who do virtuous actions, good deeds. Te dvandva moha nirmukta, their delusion created by duality is destroyed. Bhajante mam dradhavrataha, and they worship me with a firm affirmation. So good values, Sadguna, helps us to create virtues in life and helps us to create selfless karma for helping others. Jananam punya karmanam. I need to take a firm decision to determine my life goals and strive for efforts in the right direction even during the ups and downs of life. We should fear God while doing any unrighteous actions, as the big boss is always watching us. All that is happening as a karma dhyaksha, just like a surveillance video camera keeps recording everything that happens. Prayer invokes the divine powers, and thus we should resort to this powerful tool often. Love for God inspires devotion for the divine. We need to strive to keep balance, control over our senses, mind and intellect. Regular satsang, listening to scriptures, is important to change our thoughts and is a powerful means for inner change. Coming to the end of the 7th Adhyaya, Krishna describes those who are eligible for attaining the highest goal of the human life. He says, one who comes to my shelter and puts efforts on the spiritual path, Jara Marana Mokshaya, I deliver them from old age, death, to attain immortality. Te Brahma Tad Viduhu, they know me as Brahman, Krutsnam Adhyatmam, which is complete, and also the substratum of the Jiva as Atman, Karma Chakhilam, and also the essence of the actions. The final goal is to know one Tattva that pervades Ishvara, Jagadish, all the beings, Jiva, and this universe, Jagata. Fear of old age and death is the root cause of all the fears. Old age is unavoidable and creates helplessness and many limitations, and thus is not easily acceptable to many. Both old age and death are of the body, not my true reality. All the changes, vikara, happen in my body, not in me. Only spirituality can change this attitude that life can be a celebration and death can be even more be a peaceful, acceptable, and also can be celebrated. Both our own efforts and grace of the divine are important till we know the original self, Brahman, Brahma Tad Viduhu. Now in the final verse of the 7th Adhyaya, Krishna mentioned some new words which forms the basis of the 7 questions of Arjuna with which the 8th Adhyaya begins. Ye vidu mam, one who knows me as Adhibhuta, as the cause of the seen world, the Stula Jagata. Adhidaivam, as a substratum of the subtle world governed by the Devtas, the Sukshma Jagata. And Adhiyagnam, as source of all yagnas and karmas, as the Karma Phaladata, Prayana Kalecha Api. Even while during the end time, at the time of death, Mam Te Vidu Yukta Chetasaha, those accomplished minds will know me as the divinity. Krishna shows a vision to Arjuna where he can see divinity everywhere. What is the correct vision? Krishna says that Ishvara is not the creator, just the creator, but also manifests himself as a creation, as an Upadan Karana. Upanishad says that Ishvara created this creation and then entered the creation to uphold the creation. Ishvara pervades the entire seen world, the Stula Jagata as Adhibhuta, as the substratum, Adhishtana of the universe, Jagata, as all the beings. Ishvara also is the basis of the entire subtle world, the Sukshma Jagata, where Ishvara himself has created the system of each of the Devtas, Adhidaivam, who have been given their individual responsibility, and the entire universe works accordingly like a yagna. All the yagna that happens in the universe is due to karma, and as a source of all the yagnas, Adhiyagnam, he is the giver of all the fruits of all the actions, karma phala data, to each individual according to their own karmas, according to the law of karma and karma phala. And this is a true vision of the accomplished yogi or the wise man, Gnani. This is the true vision of the reality that there is only one divinity which appears to us in different forms and names in this world. With this we come to the end of the 7th Adhyaya. Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Gnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Saptamodhyayaha.